My name is Mark Sykes and I was shot in Sean Graham Bookmakers on the 5th of February 1992. We're here today to ask the politicians to challenge the Chief Constable Simon Byrne in the wise delaying the publication of the Police Ombudsman's report into the massacre at Sean Graham Bookmakers and the other murders carried out in South Belfast by the UDA.
I'd like to ask the Chief Constable on behalf of our campaign exactly why is using national security as an excuse to get our report stopped. This is the 5th time we've now been held back, and all we were looking for is the truth, and that's all. There's no reason for national security to be used and as part of the police angle of stopping us from getting the truth.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello. I know some of you come here to speak to me or to see me, so I don't know who wants to.
Well, first of all, I'm Tommy Duffin, here on behalf of Sean Graham Bookmakers and the Achilles. So what we want to know is exactly why are you holding back on our report?
Yeah.
We've been told that you're holding back on a reason for PII and CMP reasons, which is obviously to do with national security.
Yeah.
Can you possibly explain to me what national security has to do with Loyalist murder gangs?
Yeah, okay. And is there any other questions from anyone else, or do you want to take them one at a time? Yeah, okay. Well, I think the best thing I can say to you, obviously, we're here to recognise what an awful incident this is that you went through in all sorts of different ways. I don't want to sound too defensive, but some of you will know that legal proceedings in this case are a very delicate and advanced stage, so I don't want to say too much today, given how this is proceeding, that would frustrate that. We all realise that some of these things, even to people watching this and trying to make sense of it, the whole notion of a public interest immunity certificate, or what's called closed material proceedings, are there for legal reasons. That, for example, in relation to a public immunity certificate, they are actually granted by somebody else after a very challenging process, so that I'm quite happy to continue the dialogue, but given where the legal proceedings are in the very short term, I don't really want to go into the specifics that you want the answer to today and tomorrow, till that actual process is finished in the next few weeks.
Will it be finished in the next few weeks? Because again, it's getting very, very close on our 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
And it's getting to the actual stage where we believe it's just getting held up and held up and held up. Now we've had five times held back by problems through the RUC/PSNI with holding back material, etc., and 3 other knockbacks as well. I mean, we want to know now: are we going to have this report very, very soon? That's what we come from. And at the end of the day, yes, we know there has to be a bit of time, but we also need to know a time frame, because we keep getting told by the Ombudsman's office that it was meant to be this autumn. Obviously, yourselves had a check on it, and you now knocked it back again. We need to know: is there a time frame that we can work to? Because
I can't give you those.
People are actually older people are
I know.
Absolutely. Away,
yeah.
And we can't afford it now.
Yeah.
So the families don't need us.
Yeah. Well, I think the recognition is that some of the things that you raise are at the heart of wider legacy issues in the round as time moves on and people get older, etc. I can't give you a specific date today, and it wouldn't be wise to do so, but there are various moving parts of this, as you know. There's the immediate legal proceedings that will affect some people here today. Then there's the desire of the Ombudsman to publish her report, and we're working hard with the Deputy Chief Constable and her office to see how we can facilitate that within the rules. We're not deliberately trying to delay things from your own point of view, but we do have to work within a process that has a legal basis. So that I know it's gone on an awful long time, but let's just wait and see what the short amount of time we now have ahead of us can produce in terms of giving you some of the confidence and clarity within the framework that we have to work. Is there anyone else that wants to?
Can you guarantee that we're going to have this report before Boris Johnson tries to push through an amnesty? Because that's the concern that these families have, that if Boris Johnson's able to push through this amnesty in the next couple of weeks, then the Ombudsman is probably within our right not to give us a report, and that would be disastrous for our families. We've waited over 30 years, and as Thomas has said, my mother-in-law is 90, and she's been in a house for 18 months due to COVID. She doesn't have months to wait in reports, or even years. We've waited for for 30 years, and I think we've waited long enough, and I think it's important for us that we get answers soon, or sooner rather than later, that we can have this report, and that our loved ones, my mother-in-law who's in it, will get some form of justice or some form of truth before she passes away.
Well, I think again you raise an important point there that I can't give a guarantee because I don't know what the commitment from the UK government is going to be in terms of proposals and legislation around amnesty. So it would be a bit unwise to say yes or no. I generally do not know the final detail of what has been proposed. But I think the issue that we have to do is work within the rules to support the Ombudsman to do her job, but also to deal with some of the matters that are immediately in front of us. So that at the end of the day, whether it's your case or others, our general purpose here is to try and be as open and as transparent as we can be, given all the constraints of some of the very detailed things like this that have happened in the past. But I do get the frustration because you're not the only case where people want answers in the legacy space, and we'll just have to see if there's an announcement in the next few weeks about what that is and what the effects are on policing, because there's various different understandings of what there may and may not be, and I just generally don't know what that is at the moment. But let's see what the next few days produce, and then let's see how any proposals that come from the government affect what you need from us and from the Ombudsman.
Can I ask, why do you need a PII certificate if it was an illegal organisation that carried out these murders?
Well, again, just to talk in general terms, that certificate can relate to a number of things where it's not just maybe the police service that would have an interest in relying on that proceedings. So there are other people that we all know worked here to protect society at the height of the Troubles, so that there were various parties that would apply or assert the need for it. Again, there was a lot of detail behind this, but there was a very robust process of challenge and advocacy that the people that sign a certificate, either the Secretary of State or one of the senior ministers here, have to go through to satisfy themselves it's in the public interest to grant the assertion, be it from the police, maybe from a security service or indeed armed forces, if that was one of the reasons that are behind it. So I'm talking in general terms. So there are checks and balances here, but we want to try and see how we bring matters to a conclusion if we can within the rules.
Are you saying then you're applying national security through public interest immunity, closed material procedures, which are secret courts, to which the Police Ombudsman has told the families that will impinge significantly and impact significantly on our public statement? Are you applying them on behalf of MI5 or other intelligence services then?
Well, we act on our own behalf in these proceedings.
So then you're applying PIIC then and
No,
secret
I'm not.
courts?
No,
well
I'm-
then why
no.
are you telling the Ombudsman you're objecting to significant sections of the public report on the basis of public interest immunity? Is it protecting agents and agent handlers within the special branch?
Well, again, you're sort of in a nice way putting words in my mouth. I think we just have to recognise that there is a process and there is proceedings that we have to abide by, and that I don't want to say any more than that because of the sensitive proceedings that are going on in the very near future that I don't want to frustrate.
Well, we've just had a police board meeting. There's a public aspect to it. You'll be able to see that online. And then we brought the Chief Constable out here to speak to the families. They're the ones that really talk about what's going on here. And the other organisations which have been dealing with this for 30 years. And I mean, to go past the Ormeau Rd, I mean, there's also cases going back 50 years. I put it to the Chief Constable in there, you know, you're dealing with this. They ask for PIIs, the public immunity, public interest immunity certificates. You're talking about CMPs, which frankly is just called secret courts. You're asking for these in this case. There's been 4 delays over, been postponed 4 times. It's all to do with the PSNI. And what have you got to say about that? And he said what he said out here. And the question I think that was put to him, I put it in there and it was put to him out here, is that you're acting on behalf of the intelligence agencies, because it's intelligence agencies who ask for these PIIs and the CMPs. And in the end, you are police officers. We have no control even as a board over these British intelligence agencies, but you still have the police. So if they're doing wrong, then you have to deal with that as well. I also raised the issue because it came up as I was in there. I've just got word it's out in the media now that the police are also looking for an assessment on the Noah Donoghue case in terms of the inquest, to do an assessment in terms of that. And I said to them, look, it's bad enough. It's terrible that we are fighting over legacy cases here. Now I'm reading that you're actually looking for an assessment from the intelligence agencies to retract or to refuse to show pieces of information which affect this. And Fiona Donoghue, his mother, deserves transparency, not secrecy. So the most depressing thing, in a way, from the meeting in here is, as well as dealing with what people have been fighting for 30 years here, we have a similar approach being taken to a case which is not looked upon as legacy, which involves a 14-year-old boy who has died and a grieving mother and their family. So that's the most depressing message that I got today, I have to say.